You guys want to talk about Barry? Because it'd be cooler if you did.
Almost Sideshow Season 4, Episode 4. Barry's getting nuts. This is getting nuts. I'm Terry. He's Adam. Adam, staying on Hank's good side, I see.
Yes, and I've heard of Call of Duty. Oh my god, it's a crazy episode. I got some thing in my eye now. Yeah, what an episode! Twists, turns, and what have you.
Sand? Was it sand in your eye?
Probably was sand.
Yeah,
a little bit of sandal, probably too.
Stuff gets everywhere.
Yeah, it's good everywhere.
But it is the whole kit and the poodle.
Kid in the pool.
You're like Scrooge McDuck.
Yeah, like Scrooge McDuck.
This may, I mean, we thought the last episode was bonkers. This might have been the most bonkers episode we've seen so far.
Also one of the longest ones at 35 minutes. And it felt it a little bit. It felt a little bit. I was like, "Whoa, this is a lot longer episode." But
I could tell it was a little longer, but at the same time, it was like the first time where I wish it was longer.
Yes, I liked everything.
I needed like a 45 to 50-minute episode from this because there was so much going on, and I needed just a little bit more drawn out in some of those spots. But oh man, we're already talking about it, so let's just get into it.
Let's do it.
Let's do this. Season 4, Episode 4 of Barry is entitled "It Takes a Psycho." Gotcha. Here is our synopsis here. Barry is on the loose. While the cops search for Barry, Fuchs is getting tortured for any information, which earns him the respect he wanted from the other inmates. Gene is abandoned at his cabin in the woods, but then finds out that Barry has escaped. He freaks and stands guard with his rip-torn gun in hand. When he is startled by someone at the door, he shoots before looking, and it's his son, Leo.
Oh, my God. Oh, yeah, we'll talk about this.
Hank is startled at the idea that Barry is out, but he tries to put it out of his mind and throws a party for his men. He ends it by showing them the sand silo, then buries them all in it, killing the whole crew and almost Cristobal. Turns out, Hank made a deal with the Chechens for their protection and loyalty. Cristobal doesn't recognize Hank anymore, says it's over, and runs out on him. Because of how much he knows, he is immediately killed by the Chechens. Jim is trying to help the cops, who seem to think Hank's secret lair is Dave and Buster's. Instead, Jim stakes out Sally's house. Sally is off helping her acting student who gets stage fright, so she doesn't hear what happened with Barry right away. She ends up trying to audition for the role on the spot. Her student's agent offers her a job. When she finds out about Barry, she goes home knowing he was probably there. She tells him they are leaving, but Jim is out front. Cliffhanger. But then we see Barry and Sally with a house in the middle of nowhere and a son who hasn't heard of Call of Duty or has heard of Call of Duty.
And not named Denzel.
Not named Denzel, named like Travis or John. I think it was John. I think theirs was John. So it's another one of Barry's fantasies. Or is it?
Oh, I hope not. I hope it's not the flash forward.
All right, Adam. What do you think?
All right. Well, I'm not gonna talk about the flash forward possibility yet. We'll talk about that in what's probably coming. But wow, as Owen Wilson says,
oh wow.
A lot of crazy stuff in this episode, man. I gasped several times at this episode, and we were wrong about some stuff. We were right about the opening. I think that was a good, accurate call. Mm-hmm. Office Space reunion, the Dream Team. Now we just need to get them to play it as the opening, that song when they're beating up the fax machine or the copier. Just have that song.
Yeah.
Fuchs, yeah.
Damn, it feels good to be a gangster.
The warden beating up Fuchs. There we go. Perfect. But there's a couple cool cameos in here. And then I want to talk about some of those 2 cameos that I saw. One that's pretty notable. Well, I guess if you're a movie fan, it's noticeable. The other one is subtle with a lot of makeup on there. So I don't even know if you caught it, but I love this episode, man. It definitely was a little longer, but I wanted more of it. And can it be Sunday already? That's the thing.
Seriously, this episode, I mean, it takes all the twists and turns. And I think this is where you're starting to finally realize we are reaching the end.
Yeah, real quick, my wife was watching, and she has not seen every episode. But okay, so
Why is she watching then?
because originally she wasn't.
You are failing in your duties as a husband.
Pump the brakes, Terry. Shut up. No, so you know, it's like when your wife or your significant other is watching something, and you're like, I'm not even interested. And you're doing something, you're reading, and you're like, you're catching over, you're looking over, and you're like, then eventually she catches you like full forward. It's like you're tilted towards the screen. That's exactly kind of how it is. Like in this last season, because I'm watching it in our room, and she's in there doing whatever, and she's like, "Oh, is that his son? Who's that?" And I was like, "Yeah, it's." I was like crazy in my reaction, and so she was watching this time, and she's definitely more interested in this season. I think because there's stuff happening, and wow, yeah. It's cool. So I think she's agreed to watch the whole series again. So which I'm on board for.
Nice.
Yeah.
Now will she be listening to the Almost Sideshow while she watches the whole series? That
is true.
That's the real question.
She is subscribed, and if you're not, what's wrong with you?
Subscribe.
Yeah.
Right. Smash that subscribe button.
Yeah. On our video audio formats.
Yes. Yeah.
We're not on the TikToks, but we're on the YouTubes.
The audio the visual gags in the audio format.
Yeah.
Yeah. Man, they're like this is putting everything into full chaos. And what I found funny is we see Barry for like 10 seconds in the entire, and it's like the final 30 seconds, and it because everything, all the chaos is happening around him. And I think that's the crazy part is he's just holed up this entire day. And okay, why didn't they look in Sally's apartment? Really? They're this like huge international manhunt. They don't bother to ever actually talk to Sally or check her apartment. I mean,
they
how
probably
incompetent
yeah.
are they? I mean, they did think Hank was running his criminal operation out of a Dave and Buster's, and everyone inside was a henchman. So
yeah, they have a Chargers and they have an Oilers hat on, which is kind of confusing.
Which is just confusing.
Hashtag Oilers. But probably they thought Sally's apartment was probably at that studio that had Joplin. That had Joplin. The office building. That's probably where they thought she lived.
I don't know. That was just
stupid.
Just a mess.
Even my wife's like, the cops are dumb, aren't they? I was like,
there's a few things. Okay. There's a few things I didn't necessarily like about this episode.
Okay, talk about that.
One, they went a little too overboard in how dumb the cops are.
Yes. The first gag when they freaking run into each other. Come on.
Yeah. It's going a little overboard here. Second, I do not buy the turn NoHo Hank took. This does not fit. This does not jive with who he has been this entire show.
That's a good point.
He just spent the end of last season risking everything to go to Bolivia and almost be mauled by a lion to save Cristobal. Yet he is willing to sacrifice everything he has built up. Like he chose, and I get he had the choice of the Chechens or Cristobal, but every step of the way he's chosen his friends, and he's chosen Cristobal. He chose Barry over Goron. He chose Cristobal over the rest of his gang. He chooses Cristobal over everything, and now now he's going to say, "Oh, I was just playing along the whole time. I never wanted to be legitimate." No. No. That's not how this works. And I
And
mean,
he
it's
cut
kind
in and
of
out of character too.
yeah, and I mean, it's kind of you would see like glimpses of the regular NoHo Hank,
Mhm.
and yet at the same time you could say that him going to Bolivia, like that was the start of him actually having to like break bad. Um, because that's kind of what happens here is you see him hardened, you see him calloused, you see him as the criminal he's always wanted to be. And I guess you started to see it because you had the conversation on the phone with Barry in the last episode. But I did not buy that twist. That twist goes against everything NoHo Hank has been this entire show so far. It's fascinating, but I don't buy it.
Yeah, it definitely. At first, it's like, are they really going to do this? Did he really just side with, or did he, the Chechens decide that we're going to take down this organization right now? That's what I thought was happening,
That's what I
and
thought
that's
too.
why. And I didn't think, it was actually, it is what's happening. But then it is what Hank did. He made a deal, and
And
it's to
part of
save.
that deal was killing Bong and all the other guys that he, they took to the greatest place on the earth. And
Busters of Dave.
the Busters of Dave. Yeah, and killed them just like that. I mean,
Yeah,
wow.
heartbreaking sequence because yeah, I think
Oh, that oh yeah. Yeah.
I think he cut out a character. Like he was definitely trying to play hardened, to try to maybe I don't know. It's really hard to explain like what possibly could have drove him to that. I
I
think
mean, I think the one thing you could think of is maybe he was
intimidated.
well, he's obviously was intimidated, but I was thinking he
Yeah.
was it was one of those where he was putting on the face in the front to try and justify it to himself.
Good call.
Um, because you have those moments in some shows and in some stories where someone has to say the thing they don't actually believe in order to get the result that is necessary.
Hmm.
And I feel like that might have been a little bit of what Hank was doing with Cristobal there. So I'm going to tell you this the hard way and hope that you believe it. I don't know, but it feels like for the first time Hank feels like he belongs in that spot, and it didn't feel like a gradual buildup. It felt like it was all of a sudden, boom! All he's this criminal mastermind.
Time jumps. Time jump. That's probably what happened.
I don't. This is the same
Maybe.
day Barry. I mean, a day before
Yeah,
he was talking to Barry on the phone,
that's true. That's true. But it could
which
still
was
not.
which was another like that was like the most badass that Hank had ever been was in that phone call with Barry. But even then, you could tell he didn't want to do it.
Yeah.
And just like 2 or 3 days before, he was ready for Barry to be his best friend again and get him out of prison.
I think when he starts crying when he knows Crispel's dead, I
Yeah.
think that's where it's like he had that moment of like he's like
What did I do? What did I do?
he broke, and then he had to
Mhm.
go put that front on again with those bodyguard those guards.
Yeah.
I think there's somebody like he knows whoever that. Do you know who that guy was? The main Chechen.
Oh
You
yeah,
recognize him?
Michael Ironside.
Michael Ironside. Yeah, I,
Yeah,
I
well, yeah,
love
we
that.
saw him. We saw him in the Crazy Time Shit Show.
Yeah,
He was
very
he was
briefly.
the
Yeah,
yeah he was the main one there. Um,
yeah.
yeah, we're
I,
we're
I
starting to
think
go through our categories without even
they
going
all
through
blend
them.
together.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but yeah,
but yeah, I think that is like that. He has to be the higher of the high of the Chechens, I would think.
yes, yes, and that was like because like Batir, he had to call him and show him the nursery and everything,
Mhm.
and now he's the one that I knew when we see a guy like that in that role, he's gonna come back up in some way, shape, or form. So, um, so my best scene is the one that we've been talking about because the acting from Anthony Carrigan and Michael Irby in
Yeah,
that
same here.
scene is just brilliant. Brilliant work there.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're gonna go with something else, yeah, I think the whole sequence of Cristobal getting buried, like that whole thing. I mean, everything with there were so many fascinating parts of this episode,
It was shot beautifully.
but
That whole Barry
the
sequence.
Hank and Cristobal were were the most compelling by far. And maybe it's partially because I didn't necessarily agree with the way it went, but yeah.
If we had to go to another sequence, best scene, we got to talk about Gene and his Gene in the cabin. So that cabin sequence, like when he gets that phone call that he's escaped, and he's like, "Well, you just have to stay there," and he gets that gun out. I was like, "Oh!" And then that the shadowy figure at the door, and he shoots. I was like, I looked at my wife. I was like, "It's gonna be his son."
Yep.
It's like I knew it. Like you already know what it was, and then when they pan
Yeah,
over,
Barry's not going to make himself that obvious if he's coming.
yeah, it's a freaking.
And
It's like,
did
it
he
looks like it looks.
walked
Yeah,
away? He didn't even go check on him.
yeah, what
He
a
left him there to die.
yeah, what a move. I hope the next episode we get like him opening the door and realizing what it is. You gotta show that. But yeah, that sequence was great when they reveal the bag. That's my first gasp. It was like, oh my gosh,
I know,
holy
because you
cow!
knew
That
what
was
it was. You knew
even though
what it was.
even though we knew what it was, it's like wow, it's crazy.
Yeah, that was a crazy sequence. Fuchs.
Fuchs,
That's crazy. I mean,
money.
every single part of this is just insane. Every single part of this of what's going on is just like I said, the chaos just ramped up a notch, and now you have reached, we're past the point of no return now. Like
Mm-hmm.
every other time, it's like they find a way to bring it back, right? They find a way to bring it back. Yeah, Cristobal's gone. Leo's dying. Uh, Gene shot him. Hank is a criminal mastermind. Barry escaped from prison and is on the run with Sally, or is he? If Jim's sitting outside the door, I mean,
Jim takes naps. It's fascinating stuff.
if Jim takes naps, yeah, yeah. I
And we're
mean,
only we're halfway through the season.
we're
already.
halfway through the season. Yeah,
I
there's
hate it
so
that
much more to
there's
go.
2 episodes the first day. That's what really throws it off.
It does. It does. All right. So we talked best scene. Let's talk about the Fuchs bag, douchebag. It is NoHo Hank. Like
It's gotta be, man.
there is no other option in this episode, and this is why I feel like this doesn't fit. I mean, it was just a couple episodes. We saw him in that stupid get up at the cantina, and now he is making decisions that he knows might cost Cristobal his life. He's killing everyone that he needed so desperately to make his dreams happen, just to go along with Andre and Batir. This doesn't make any sense. But he's being a douche, and he is the Fuchs bag. And possibly this episode is the least douchey Fuchs has ever been.
Yeah, Fuchs. I don't think Fuchs is a douche in this episode at all. The other person what I did mention was the agent, of Sally's student. So I think that the agent could be considered a douche because essentially you're like, yeah, you will work together, and then you try to outact your your student, your pupil, to try to get the part, and then I'll kind of doing some background dealing there. Not quite as definitely not NoHo Hank of this episode, but
Yeah,
it's
I
the
didn't
only
think
other
he was a
option.
douche at all. I think he was, because
Maybe
one,
it's like a sneaky. I don't know.
he said it very tastefully.
He did.
In instead of going all out on that, what was it? Are you a vaginal girl or something like that? Um, and then he saw what she did and was like, okay, you got something there. I want to help you. That's how I heard it. I mean,
But basically, like, you're better than your student, but you're not gonna get anything. So we're gonna do this background. This basically we're gonna get you in the door with your student, and then you're basically have to outshine her in a little acting session to try to get the job. I don't know.
well,
It
but
probably
no,
does sound
but
cliche,
he
but
was saying I'll find you roles that are better suited for you because
mm,
this one wasn't because they needed a model. Um,
sure.
and
Somebody a little taller too.
yeah, we could just put that in that
That
money.
money.
Yeah. Stickman.
The dad at the end. Clearly, he had a son. I don't know. There's not really much Stickman here. Oh, actually, no. The director of Coda.
The director of Sean Hader.
Yes. Yeah. So, I want before we pump the brakes here. They were making fun of Chloe Zhao, right? Like, that's what I thought. That's how I took it. That's how I took it so much. I was like, they were totally making fun. They get the best picture director winner, and they throw her in a superhero movie. They're making fun of Chloe Zhao with the Eternals, right?
I mean, maybe not directly,
Directly,
but yeah, now that you say it.
But they're taking. You have these indie directors. Spider-Man director, Watts, I think. He did Cop Car with Kevin Bacon. It was another indie like hit, and then he was a superhero. They get these they pluck these indie directors to come out and go straight to the big blockbusters. That's what they're making fun of. But my whole thing was Chloe Zhao.
Yeah,
I was like, wow.
I didn't even think about that, but
it's pretty brilliant. Actually,
that is pretty brilliant.
I like it.
Yeah, I didn't have anything. I couldn't think of a good one for this.
Yeah, there's not really good choices for our categories.
You know what? I'm gonna say Stickman is Rip Torn again because the gun actually works.
The gun, and yet this time it's effective.
This time it didn't fall apart. It actually worked. So I'll say Rip Torn.
All right, I guess instead of the guards that are beating up Fuchs with the sticks.
There we go, because they have sticks.
Or they have sticks.
Or the SWAT team in Dave and Buster's.
Yeah. Oh god. No, they.
No, you know what? The Stickman is the guy in the
away
Houston Oilers. The guy in the Houston Oilers cap because he's seen some things.
Yeah, he knows. He likes Warren Moon.
Exactly. All right. Hey, that's John Hamm, best new face. I had Michael Ironside written down.
Yeah.
Woo! Jester's dead.
Yeah. Everything I think on Michael Ironside, I think of obviously Splinter Cell. He's the voice of the character in that video game franchise, and then also like Starship Troopers is one I always go back to. It's like everybody fights, no one quits, and that's like his whole motto of the Roughnecks. I love Michael Ironside. He's great, and I was like, wait a second, I got a closer look at his face this time, other than being a little phone. I was like, that's Michael Ironside. Heck yeah, that's awesome.
But he's Jester. Like, he's Jester. Yes, he's in those other things. But he's Jester.
I'm sorry. What's that reference?
Top Gun.
Oh, the first one?
God help us.
No, that's all right.
he's the instructors. He's Jester.
Oh, okay. Okay, you're right. I haven't seen the first one in a long time.
Disappointed. I'm not mad. I'm just disappointed. Anyways, he removed himself from the feed. All right.
I'm in the timeout chair. Sorry.
I thought you were trying to stay on Hank's good side.
I was. I'm on Terry's bad side now for not knowing the topic.
Oh boy, we might need to cut this out.
We might need.
It won't be.
Anyway. It won't be. Did you have anybody else for best new face?
That's Sean Hader.
Sean Hader. Yeah,
I think that's the only. I thought that was the obvious one, but then I was like, wait, then we both picked up on Ironside pretty well because we had technically seen him before, but
Yeah,
not as
and
much.
the self-referential nature of Sean Hader in this episode
Oh, loved it.
is beautiful. I was gonna say, is there any relation between Bill Hader and Sean Hader? But the last names are spelled just a little bit
Felt a little
different.
different. Yeah.
So there's nothing there. But Sean Hader and Sally kind of look alike a little bit.
Dude, I honestly thought, I was like, wait, is that the director of Code? And I had to like go back and look at it. I'm like, yeah, that is the director. I was like, it looks similar. Like, is she just wearing makeup? What's going on? At first, I thought it was like her. That's crazy.
The Jermaine favorite minor character award goes to.
I did not fill this one out on my report here. What do you have?
I have Cristobal.
That's a good call.
His story arc ends here, and he's got a great one. Like his arc is just really cool, and he goes out with his integrity. He goes out with his morals. He goes out being who he always wanted to be, and you gotta respect that.
Wanted to be legitimate.
I've got Cristobal. Yeah,
that's a good call. I like that pick here too. As a complete funny one, I gotta go with the chief of police. It's like he clearly they run into like the police are so stupid.
They're so dumb.
So
like
dumb.
And this is the one time where it's like, you can't be that dumb. And not like talking like, oh, this is no. It's like writers, they can't be that dumb. Come on,
they can't be, but they can be.
But they were.
They were dumb. Yeah, the minor. I don't know. I was so focused on everybody else's like moments and stuff. Like the minor characters, I couldn't pick up any really particular in this one. But no, we'll go with that. So
yeah, I was trying to think. I mean, Livewire and GrooveTube were pretty good too, as being like the voice of the entire
cell block.
The entire cell block as Fuchs is going through everything he's going through. That was pretty cool.
I got one. Minor character, Lindsay. She calls Sally at least help, even having their...
which is impressive because they don't talk anymore, right?
Yeah,
I mean, she doesn't represent her, but she is her friend. She looks out for her. That's a good call too. I was also thinking Christine Barger as Sean Hader's assistant,
mm-hmm.
the one that's helping her figure all this stuff out. She was pretty good.
That's good.
Okay. Let's see here. Oh, Barry relatable moment.
I think sometimes I think that Sally and her pupil, I can't remember her name, but when she's like Kristen, is when you hear something that you don't really care about, like the bad news of like Barry escaped, and you're like, you're just gonna have like to suck it up, and you're like, are you okay? And like, yo, I'm good. Yeah, I'm fine. No, I'll be fine. Yeah, like you try to play it off. I think that's something that is, especially when you're trying to protect yourself in a sense too. It's like, oh yeah, I'm good. No, I'm fine. Yeah, I think that's something that we can do.
I read that completely differently though. I don't think she was playing it off. I think she was actually happy because what did she said? She said, I feel safe with him. And so she's like, huh, he's out. I bet I know where he is.
And that's why she would say
life with him sounds a whole lot better than whatever I'm dealing with right now.
That's true. I guess it's you can, I guess, and that's the sense I'm talking about. That is something that could be, but at the same time, it's like, well, or maybe she actually, there must be a sequence, like maybe she knew that he was there and said, you need to hide out here or something like that, because she didn't she's like said Barry, and then Barry came out like, because
she had I mean, I think she just kind of guessed it.
She guessed
where's the first place he would go.
my place.
She might have been the only one to realize that she'd be the first one he would go to.
Good call.
Yeah, I had something similar in that same vein, and I'm trying to remember what it was because I thought of it like as you were talking, and I thought you were gonna go the same where. Oh, now I remember what it was. So Kristen freezes on stage. She loses her line. She runs away, just sobbing. And Sally goes and because the agent's like, "All right, you're up." And so Sally goes in and she looks at her and goes, "You can tell by the look on her face, I have no idea what to do here." All right, we're gonna make this up as we go along and try to look like I have a clue, but I don't. That being a teacher, those moments happen often where it's like, okay, don't know how I'm going to handle this situation, so we're going to try this. And as long as I pretend like I have confidence in the decision I just made, everything should probably be okay. But I don't know.
Fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed, but don't let them see it. And that's Sally right there. It's
That's
like,
the
okay,
key.
I need to try and make sure that I got this figured out. Okay. LVP, MVP, and then we'll see what we think is gonna happen next.
LVP's the police. I don't think anybody else can go any. Like, you just got a bunch of lawsuits. Like,
Yeah.
bunch of lawsuits of the Dave and Buster's folks. That's ridiculous. I think MVP. I'm gonna say Cristobal. I'm saying Cristobal, and I think Fuchs is up there too as a runner-up. But Cristobal, he stood by his morals. Like he even though he loved and still cared about. No, Hank, he did not embrace that behavior, and he did not. It's like, okay, yeah, it was kind of like that abusive relationship. Like, nope, I'm not gonna go back to it. Nope, I'm gonna keep going and stand on what I believe in, and I wanted to be legitimate. I didn't want to do this shady stuff anymore. I was trying to be an honest person now, and got to give him his due. I am kind of sad. I honestly thought he was going to survive the whole show, to be honest, but
That's because they seemed inseparable. And then
yeah,
all of a sudden in one episode, all that goes out the window.
And now I think Hank needs to go too. That's the hard part based off the episode. Did his death chances, like did Las Vegas put a death odds on him percentage?
All right, let me give my
runner?
LVP MVP, and then we'll get to that. So my LVP, yes, the police are good, but my LVP is Mega Girls and the Infinity Orb.
Oh God. Yeah.
However,
great call.
MVP, I didn't actually write this, but you could say MVP is Sean Hayter's reaction to her sellout. Because the way she phrases it is just perfect.
Yeah.
But my MVP is Sally. I mean, going from where she's at to immediately, like, Barry walks out and he goes, "Can I stay here?" And she goes, "Let's go." Wait, really?
And he break out of his
yeah, and just kind of broke him out, and she does what she needs to do in that moment, and so Sally's my MVP. Okay, now Cristobal Death Meter. Yes, I think. It went up a decent amount as soon as we knew that Barry had probably broken out, and he knew he had put the hit on him. But now it's up even more. Like there's going to be a showdown here at some point. Hank's going. I would say 85% Hank dies by the end of this.
Yeah, I think 3 people went up in my eyes in this show. This episode, Sally, Fuchs, and Cristobal, all like their characters, and I don't see. Well, I didn't see Cristobal die, but I don't think you kill off the other 2. So I think Sally and Fuchs are safe. I just have that feeling now. But yeah, I know Hank 85 is pretty good, great odds there. I think Barry is probably going to be at a 65. It's 50, almost 50-50 what's going to happen with him, I feel. Especially when you have Jim right around the corner, and you have Hank kind of technically there, and Michael Ironside's character there too. Yeah, that's a tough one, but and then Jim's up.
Hank is acting like the criminal genius, but he's still Hank, right? He's gonna mess something up. So yeah, there's so you got that side of it too. I don't think Sally is necessarily safe. I could see something happening where she ends up in the crossfire of something,
And then that's where
and it
Barry snaps in.
and he, I mean, and we see Barry in potentially his last and greatest snap. Barry, I'm putting at like 65%. He doesn't make it.
Yeah, so it's pretty much where I'm at right now.
Yeah,
too.
I mean, I'd say it's getting increasingly more likely he doesn't.
Yeah, I thought he was pretty like 10% before we started this, so that he wasn't dying. But
The
now
one I have no idea what to do with at this point is Gene. Where does Gene go from here? I have no clue.
I think there's got to be a showdown at the cabin. I think they brought the cabin back for a reason too. Gene's clearly there at Big Bear, and
I mean, does he take the last bullet in the gun and take care of himself? I could see that. I mean, he's in the spot where Janice died. He may have just killed his son. Everything that ever mattered to him happened there. I could see something like that come out of this, but that feels like a cheap way to end it. But it also felt like kind of a cheap way to end Cristobal. So, yeah, I don't know. I don't know what to do with Gene. I have no idea what's going on there.
What's going on?
What's going on? I think Fuchs survives.
So Sally's probably like a 25%.
Sally, I would say the Sally death meter is, I'm gonna say 40%.
40.
I think the story could too easily play into she becomes a victim of all of it. As
I also don't want her to be,
as everything Barry has built unravels. And and it seems like every season we have one of these episodes that has nothing to do with Barry, and we see everyone else interact. So the next episode is going to be almost entirely Barry, and so we'll see what happens with that. Now,
Jim's still around too.
Jim's still around. Was the last scene a pipe dream or not?
Oh God. It's the second time they've done this. They did it at a kid's wedding too.
They did. Could this be I mean, this could be his picture, his thought of what witness protection would look like.
So
or it could be him, but the guys who knew everything he had said to get into witness protection are dead. So I think this is him fantasizing about what witness protection would be like, because I don't think it's a coincidence that this happens immediately after Sally basically says, "I'm with you."
My biggest rebuttal to that is, why would you change your kids' names in your own fantasies? He had fantasies before. His firstborn was clearly Denzel.
Yeah, that's
and it was
true.
a different name too, and now it's like John or some whatever the kid is.
Because because it's witness protection. His name had to change.
Cheap.
I don't know. I'm just throwing that out there.
But yeah, that's a good point too. But why would you change? Well, why would you change your name if you didn't have the kid beforehand?
But the other thing that I think shows that it's a fantasy is all of his fantasies always take place in that desert. Like that's when he's looked out and seen, when he first met Fuchs, and then that when he was talking to Fuchs, and then the wedding party runs by. It all takes place in that desert. I thought that final scene was going to be just some random people, and they were going to come across one of the bodies that had unsurfaced, because it was his burying ground. It was that, like, a field that looked very similar to that.
That's a good point. That's a good one. I really just don't hope that if it's a flash forward, I would be really disappointed, because Parks and Rec did that. A couple other shows have done the flash forward thing, and it just feels like it's like, oh, you just left so much on the table, more unanswered questions.
It's got to be another fantasy. It's
It
got to
has
be
to.
him thinking, man, this could be our life, living in the middle of the desert, and I'd have to go talk with him
Yeah,
because he's upset about the other boy.
yeah, not good. So,
Yeah. Not
all
good.
right. Well,
But man, what an episode. What an episode. And I have no idea. We have no idea what's going to happen. Like, we thought we had an idea. We don't. We don't know what's going on. But we're going to be very, very interested to watch what's going on. So make sure you're watching with us. Make sure you watch the episodes. Then come listen to the Almost Sideshow. Make sure these come out before the new episode debuts, so you can get our thoughts, our full analysis, and so you can tell what's going to happen next. So, Adam, any last words?
and if you like it, you subscribe, because that's what happens when you hire two podcasters.
That's what happens when you hire two podcasters. Exactly. And
But
that is why we are here and not breaking into a prison. So,
and not our other two guys either, because that'd be four podcasters. Two podcasters sounds better for
yes.
the all sideshow. Yeah.
Four podcasters would have actually pulled off the job. Two couldn't do it. That's why we're still doing the podcast and not breaking into prisons. That's
Correct.
really, that is the only reason. The only reason. All right. Well, thank you guys so much for listening. We will see you next week as we continue to go through Barry episode by episode. Until then, high five.